and it's good morning, Saturday morning, and hello Chiefs. They're playing today, and we want them to win. So we are going to celebrate the win with cinnamon rolls, which I know are going to be wonderful, just like the game is wonderful. Now, I don't know if your grandma made these cinnamon rolls for you, but my grandma made them for me, and Grandma Roseanne makes them for her grandsons, and I'm going to teach you how to make old-fashioned cinnamon rolls that are the best ever. Now, it's a yeast dough, so allocate a little bit of time. Cameraman and I worked this out, so by the end of the game, we are going to have them ready to eat. Is that timing or what? Okay, you're going to start out with 1 cup of milk, and it needs to be warm. I use a temperature gauge here. I'm perfect. This is at 110. So you want it between 110 and 115 degrees. And you can use an instant read, or if you don't have either of them, just stick your finger in. If it's warm enough that it's milk you could feed to a baby, you're right where you need to be. Now I have got 2 teaspoons of yeast and a half a cup of sugar, but I'm only putting a little bit of the sugar in until I mix it up. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be proofing this, and what all that says to us is that we want to make sure that our yeast is active and that it is going to make fantastic cinnamon rolls. If you're not going to be using good yeast, you want to know right now so you don't end up going 2.5 to 3 hours if this actually ends up taking, and then finding out that you started out with something that wasn't going to work. So I will show you as this moves along. All right, now in our mixer, I'm doing this with a dough hook on my KitchenAid. If you don't have this and you're going to do it by hand, that's fine. I will show you at the end how to actually knead it. But if you do have a mixer, don't hesitate using it. And here I'm going to put in 5 tablespoons of butter, 2 eggs, so much better if you don't put the shell in. I don't know what the heck these chickens ate, but look at the color. I mean, it's orange. Ooh, good fresh eggs. And we want to just mix that up a little bit. Now to this I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of flour. And in my oven, I started it at 200 degrees, and I just let it preheat just for a few minutes, and then I shut it off. And the reason I did that is when my dough is complete and we've done all the kneading that we need to do, I'm going to put it in there for like 2 hours and let it rise. Now, if you need your oven and you don't have the ability to not use it for a couple of hours, it's going to be fine on your countertop. Just wrap it up, and then what you want to be able to do is cover it so that it's in an area that is draft-free. You don't want any cold or cool air hitting it. Now to this mixture, we're going to add 3.5 cups of flour. That was 3, and here goes my half. And if you can see, come here, I don't know if you can catch it on camera yet, but there's all kinds of little bubbles forming around the side, which is telling me that this yeast is good to go. So we add our yeast. remember to get those sides. And you want to get down to the bottom of your bowl as well, because the flour always has a tendency to hang out at the bottom of the bowl. There. Now take a look at this, because I want you to see the different consistencies. You see it's still real shaggy here. That's just what we have done now, is we have just incorporated the flour. But if you take a look down here, we still have some renegade flour down there that is deciding it's whether it wants to play or not. But we say yes. All right, now I'm going to put it on like a medium speed, and we're going to let it knead for 8 minutes. Now, if you're going to do this by hand, you can just allocate more time, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. That is what it's going to take you. But it's also a really good workout. It's good for your arms and gets all the frustration out. All right, give me a few minutes and we'll be back. Now, in case you want to make these and you don't have a mixer, this is what you would do. Put all your flour on your countertop, create a well, put your eggs, your milk, your yeast, your salt, your sugar in there, and just start combining it. And then start pulling it together, and then start kneading it, all right? So it takes a little bit longer, but this is the same result. If you do it and you're patient with it, you will end up with a dough like we have here. This is beautiful. All right. Now, even when you do it with a blender, you're going to give it a few taps of love from just you. So I'm going to scrape these sides down. And then just let it come out. Let gravity work in our favor here. There. Oh, we got it all. All right, push it, roll it, push it, quarter turn, roll it, quarter turn, push it, and you're pushing with the bottoms of your hands here, the heel of your hands. And I have to tell you guys, this is hilarious, because I was getting ready to do this, and cameraman said, "Don't you have to flour the counter?" Oh my God, he's starting to really learn. Oh, this dough is magnificent. After you work with dough for a little while, you will feel the difference. Oh, this is going to make great, really great cinnamon rolls. All right, now I just put a few drops of olive oil in there. I'm just going to kind of coat the bowl a little bit. You want to set your luxurious dough in there. Oh, you guys, I'm telling you, if you could feel that, you would be so happy. I'll put just a little bit more on my hands and just kind of, I just don't want the top to dry out, or the sides. Just like that. We put some plastic wrap over it. And I'm putting it in my oven. You put it wherever you need to on your countertop. Nice and tight. Don't want air in there. And I'm going to let this rise for 2 hours, okay? So when you take a look at making cinnamon rolls, the old-fashioned beautiful ones like we're making, or you're making bread or anything, and people go, "Oh, it takes so long." Well, no, you guys, it really doesn't. This probably took us maybe 5 minutes to pull it together, 8 minutes for it to do what it's going to do. We didn't sit here for 8 minutes. We were watching another football game. Then I put it in. It's going to go in the oven for 2 hours. While that's happening, cameraman and I are going to Costco and doing some shopping. So even though you have a commitment of time, you don't have a commitment of total labor. Like some things are very labor intensive. This is not one of them. So it's going to go in the oven, and I will be back in 2 hours, and this is going to look magnificent. I already know that because I can feel that dough. All right, be back in a little bit. Okay, well now we are into the next step. So I want to get our pan ready. I have some melted butter here. I'm just going to take a little bit and just kind of do the bottom of the pan, just like that. Do a little bit on the sides. And this is just so that they don't stick and we have an easy release. All right, I'm going to set that to the side, set that to the side. And I cannot wait to show you the dough. Look at this. Oh, 'tis beautiful, isn't it? 'Tis beautiful. Okay, so now we need to work with our dough. You're going to take a little bit of flour, spread it out on your counter. Let this come out nice and gently. Sometimes you need to encourage a little bit. Oh, you guys, that is outrageous dough. All right. And here's where we start to dapple. Remember what dapple is? This is dapple. We're just moving this out with our fingertips. And we're going to move it out to a rectangle. So it's good if we kind of start moving in that direction. Now you don't want to use a rolling pin on this, even though for me that's quite tempting because I'm missing patience. But you don't want to knock all the beautiful air bubbles out of it. You just don't want to do that. And also when you're feeling your dough like this, you're able to feel your high spots, your low spots, and you're able to know where you can press a little bit harder, get a little bit more on there. There. Move that out a little bit. And this is a very, very nice dough to work with. Some doughs are pretty difficult. They have a mind of their own. And this is not one of them. This dough really, really handles nicely. You're able to feel your high spots. Dapple, 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 dapple. And you will find that you have more dough on your ends. So push those out. And you'll get a feel for this, you will. Maybe not the first time, but the second or the third time, you will, definitely. And trust me, you're gonna wanna make them many times because they're really not difficult to make and they are just so incredibly delicious. Feel for your high spots. Now I'm just going to trim it off. Just because it's easier for me if I'm working with straight edges. Your chefs know how to do this and just make straight edges, but I don't. So I use corrective measures here, which is a pizza cutter. Now, that is a good looking dough. I have melted butter, and you just want to just be liberal. Okay. I have 3 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now, this is something that really becomes a choice for you as to how much cinnamon you like, the taste that you like. So we're just going to just mix this up. And if you like things to have a little stronger cinnamon taste to them, just add a little bit more. But you really can't go wrong here. Now, we're going to take our mixture and very generously perfect. Now, starting at your long edge, you're just going to roll it. Takes a little bit to get it started, but once you get it started, it's usually pretty easy. Kind of pick it up and kind of tuck it into itself, just like that. You see how I'm rolling it over, but I'm pulling it back as I do that? All that's doing is tightening up the roll. Pull it back, roll it, pull it back, roll it, pull it back. I really like working with yeast. I think it just gives us beautiful, beautiful product. And it's a little tricky in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, once you learn how to work with that yeast, it opens up a whole new world for you. All right, now here's where you're going to pull it and pinch. You want a nice seal on that. Now, I'm going to roll it over onto its belly. And I'm just going to cut off these ends here, because that's pretty much all dough. Now you want to score this. So go to the middle, and then in half again, and then in thirds. I have just some kitchen twine, and here you want to either get some dental floss or some twine or fishing line or whatever you might have, because if you take a knife and you do this, you're not going to have your swirls like you want. So just lift this up, slide it in there, twist it, this, and a hard jerk, just like that. You see how nice your swirls are? And into your pan. Ready? Yank it into your pan. And our last one, there. Now this one got a little bit big. I don't know quite why. You want to press them down just a little bit. Just like that. Then you'll take your melted butter and just go over the top of them. These are rich and beautiful. I made these the other day for cameraman, and this is a man who loves his sweets and he loves his cinnamon rolls. And he said there's never been a bakery that he got them that was any better than what he got from our kitchen, which was very nice. And I think you'll feel the same as well. All right, now I'm going to cover this again with plastic wrap. And we are going to let it rise for at least an hour. So we'll come back in an hour, we'll take a look at where we are, and then it's time to cook. Bye, I'll be back. Well, I put the cinnamon rolls in at 375 degrees, and they were there for 18 to 22 minutes. Ours were in for 20 minutes. But look at this, you guys. Look at how beautiful they turned out. They're absolutely gorgeous. Now, I let them cool here for 10 minutes, and now we're just gonna flip them. She says so confidently. Well, what we have done is we've waited. It's been about 15 minutes. We let these cool down all the way. What happens if you let them, if you try to frost them and they're too warm, it's just going to slide off. It's just going to be hard for you. Now in here I have powdered sugar, about 4 cups of powdered sugar in here. You can do whatever you want here. So I want you just to kind of take this as a guideline. I did sift it because I don't want lumps in it. Now I'm just going to start adding milk. It's so much better if you take the cap off, okay? So I'm going to start adding milk, a little bit at a time, and I'm going to just use a spatula and just start incorporating it. I'm going to add some vanilla, probably about a teaspoon of vanilla. And if you want to keep your frosting very white, what you'll want to do is get white vanilla. Or, I know this will sound bizarre, but it works. If you have food coloring and you have violet food coloring, you put just a touch in. I mean like a toothpick, a violet into here. The violet will turn this sparkling white. Don't ask me how that happens. I have no idea. Okay. Pretty much done with that, so I'm going to take a whisk to it now. And what you'll do here is just determine how thick you want it. Do you want it that thin, where it's really thin and runny like that? Do you want it a little bit thicker? Start adding some of the 5th cup to it. You build muscles with this. That's starting to get there. And if you like the frosting thick, like Cameraman does, he wants it just like the bakeries make it, then you'll know that you're getting close when it starts feeling like Elmer's glue. All right, this is what I'm looking for. Look in the bowl, Cameraman. See the trail inside the bowl? You see how it'll form and it'll hold a bit? You see that before it sinks in? That's what we're looking for. And I think we are just about there. One little touch more, and we are good to frost. Okay, when it leaves Elmer's glue, it starts to feel like cement. You're really there. Now, if you want to add flavoring to this, you can. You can add almond or lemon or whatever. I don't like to do that. simply because I just want the cinnamon buns to be the show, and this to be just like the top of the show, but I don't want other ingredients in there. Now I do save myself some work when I put some plastic wrap down. So the drippings will end up there. Now you see how it's pretty much holding? I do want some spillover, but I don't want the whole thing running over. And then as this sits a little bit, it will harden and it will be spectacular. We're watching football right now, and this is going to be a halftime treat. Alrighty, I'm gonna let this settle down a little bit and then we can taste it. Be back soon. Well, it's now time for the reward for our efforts. So they're frosted. Frosting has thickened very, very nicely. I'm just going to cut one open here, just like that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take a beautiful taste here, but I'll tell you what cameraman will do. He will put butter on it and he'll pop it into the microwave, and he has made an art form out of eating these cinnamon buns. But if you can have something as delicious as this, a nice cup of tea, have it for breakfast or, I don't know, a 3 o'clock pick-me-up snack, whatever it might be, it's just delicious to have. Yep, that's worth making. That's worth making. So, if you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up, hit that little like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell, come back, and I will leave all of the ingredients below. It's foolproof if you just follow simple steps. So thank you. You have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye.